Someone told you once, maybe a parent, a Sunday school teacher, a well-meaning elder, that you had to kneel to pray. That sitting wasn't serious enough, that lying down was lazy, even disrespectful. And somewhere in your spirit, you filed that away as truth. So now, at 2 in the morning, when anxiety has you flat on your back staring at the ceiling, and you want to talk to God more than anything, there's this small, suffocating voice that says, "Not like this, not here. Get up first, make yourself presentable." But here's the question nobody asks. Where did that voice come from? Because most of the time, it didn't come from God. It came from a person who once judged you, from a system that taught you to earn love rather than receive it. And somewhere along the way, you transferred that logic onto God, as if He too is waiting for you to become good enough before He'll listen. But what if that voice isn't God's voice at all? Here's what makes this incredible. One of the most emotionally raw, spiritually honest prayers in all of Scripture happened from a bed. Hezekiah, king of Judah, was told he was going to die. The prophet Isaiah walked in and delivered the word directly. "Get your affairs in order. You will not recover." And what did Hezekiah do? He turned his face to the wall and wept. He didn't get up. He didn't dress himself in sackcloth. He just broke open and cried out to God. That's 2 Kings 20 verses 2 through 5. And God answered before Isaiah even made it out of the middle court. Not eventually. Immediately. The Bible never says God heard Hezekiah because of how he positioned his body. It says God heard him because of what was in his heart. And this isn't a one-time exception. This is a pattern throughout Scripture. Look at Elijah, one of the most powerful prophets who ever lived. He called down fire from heaven. He outran a chariot. And then, completely broken, completely empty, he collapsed under a tree and asked God to let him die. That's 1 Kings 19. He didn't kneel, he didn't fold his hands, he just fell. And what did God do? He didn't rebuke him for his posture. He didn't tell him to get up and pray properly. He sent an angel with food, let him sleep, and fed him again. The first thing God did was take care of his body. Because God wasn't looking at how Elijah was positioned. He was looking at how depleted Elijah was. Then there's Moses. In Exodus 17, Israel was in the middle of a battle, and as long as Moses held his hands up, they were winning. But his arms grew heavy. They started to fall. He couldn't hold the position anymore, so Aaron and Hur sat him on a stone and held his arms up from both sides. God didn't stop the victory because Moses lost the strength to hold his own posture. He worked through the weakness anyway. Because what mattered wasn't the perfect position, it was the heart behind it. And Job, sitting in ashes, covered in sores, having lost everything. He didn't pray from a place of strength or reverence or careful posture. He prayed from complete devastation. He argued with God. He wept. He demanded answers. And at the end of it all, God looked at Job's raw, unfiltered, broken prayers and called them honest. He said Job had spoken what was right, not polished, not positioned correctly. Right. David, the man who wrote most of the Psalms, the man after God's own heart, wrote in Psalm 63 verse 6, "On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night." He's literally praying from his bed. Psalm 4 verse 4 goes even further. God literally instructs people to search your hearts while on your beds and be silent. Lying down isn't just permitted, it's prescribed. Hannah in 1 Samuel chapter 1 was so broken she could barely speak. The priest thought she was drunk. She wasn't in a proper prayer position. She was wrecked, barely holding together. And God gave her Samuel, one of the greatest prophets in Israel's history. Jonah prayed from the belly of a fish. Peter prayed while sinking in water. The thief on the cross couldn't move at all. Position didn't stop any of them. So what did religion do? Over centuries, layer by layer, human beings built a structure around prayer that was never in the original design. Rules about posture, requirements about time, formulas about language. Those rules gave people a sense of order. But somewhere along the way, the structure became the thing. The form replaced the faith. Jesus had the sharpest words in the Gospels, not for broken people who came to him imperfectly, but for the ones performing their righteousness for an audience. That's Matthew 6, verse 5. He wasn't against kneeling, he was against faking it. And Paul wrote in 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 17, "Pray without ceasing." You know what that means? You can't kneel 24 hours a day. Prayer was never meant to be a position. It was meant to be a posture of the heart. Now think about what this means in real terms. You're in a hospital bed and you can't move. You're chronically ill and the couch is as far as you get. You're a new parent and prayer happens in stolen minutes lying down because your body has nothing left. You work night shifts and your only window is when you're half asleep in the dark. Religion looks at all of those situations and quietly implies, this doesn't count. You're doing it wrong. But Romans 8 verse 26 says, or the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us. God doesn't need you to muster up strength for a formal position. He meets you where you are. The real barrier to prayer was never your position. It was the lie that your position disqualified you. Vulnerability was never the problem. Vulnerability is the posture God has always responded to most, not because weakness is the requirement, but because when we come to God broken and honest, we're finally not pretending. So the next time you're lying down and you want to pray, pray. The next time you're too exhausted to kneel, too sick to sit up, too wrecked to do anything but whisper, whisper. You are not disrespecting God. You are doing exactly what Hezekiah did, what Elijah did, what Moses did, what Job did, what every real person in Scripture did when they had nothing left but need and faith. And if that's all you have tonight, that is more than enough. If this broke something open for you, drop it in the comments. What religious rule were you taught that Scripture actually contradicts?